Facebook and YouTube. This show is a special show because of what just happened. Everybody know Lakers took the championship in 6 games against Miami. The bubble tournament is being called, or the bubble championship is being called. This here show is the debate to end all debates. After this show, I don't want to hear nobody talk about LeBron Jordan no more because we're going to settle it right here tonight. If that was possible, that'd be nice, but it ain't going to happen. Exactly. But we are going to talk about it. Everybody got their opinion. Jordan was 6, Brown was 4. Which I got to say? Talk to me.
All right, let me say one thing. This is a celebration of King James. We're talking about 4-time NBA champion, 4 times NBA Finals MVP, 4 times NBA Most Valuable Player, and 16 times NBA All-Star. That's what we're talking about, LeBron James. All of that said, is he the GOAT? Let's talk about it.
I mean, go ahead. I mean, listen.
Y'all going straight to y'all. I know y'all got some people.
Listen to me. It's not as simple. It's not as simple.
Let's do this. Bring Prentice in. Let him speak his piece, and we're going to talk about what he done. Let's do that. Right.
What's up, bro?
The audio ain't hit in yet.
Oh, I see.
P Money, what's up?
Prentice, you on?
What's up, fellas? How y'all?
What's good, bro?
What's up? Talk to me.
We talking GOAT.
Who's after Brown won his 4th title? Does it change your mind about where he stands, GOAT status?
Brian can win 6 titles, 7 titles, 8 titles, 9 titles. Let me start here. Can I start here? Listen.
Go ahead.
Any sport that's competition, any sport.
Mm-hmm.
The real ones want to beat the good ones. The boys that sit on the sideline want to play with the good ones. LeBron, he want to ride the coattails. I don't like that.
Oh,
so he's gonna start right there.
All right. Well, I'm going to do this right. Since everybody was talking about who Brian teamed up with, when Mike came back and he lost to Orlando, if I'm not mistaken, he went and got Rodman to help him get past Shaq, right?
After he won 3 titles already.
No. But when he faced some real comp in Shaq, he went out and he got Rodman. So don't tell me about somebody needing help.
Hey, listen, you're right. let me say this first. You are absolutely right. But he already won 3 titles.
Okay.
You can't come into the NBA wearing number 23 on your chest, say you the GOAT, and on your first title, you go get help.
Oh, let me ask you this though, Prentice. Does he deserve to be in the conversation?
Yes.
Oh, that's fair.
Okay.
LeBron James is one of the best basketball players I've ever seen play in my entire life. He's not normal. He's not a bum. He's just not Jordan.
What's the problem?
What makes Mike that? Because if are you talking about physical talent? Because who do you think is more talented physically, Mike or Brian?
I'm not going to say physical skill. I mean talent. I'm going to say Jordan is more talented than anybody that played the game. I mean, as far as what people can do, everybody I think in an NBA brought different things to the NBA, but it's more so Jordan's story that make him immortal in the basketball world.
See, that's kind of the problem.
I think, Prentice, thanks for calling too, man.
All right, yeah, thanks, bro. Way to start it off.
I'm ready. Anytime.
Wait, what were you saying, Ethan?
So okay, so you rank the GOATs, right? Where you start with Mike, who's next?
Well, first, let me say this. My GOATs do not.
I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say. I already know.
Go ahead. Let me hear you.
What I'm going to say?
We know your favorite basketball player.
My favorite basketball player of all time is Kobe Bryant. What I was going to say is that I can't really speak on the Magics, the Wilts, the Bill Russells. I don't think it's fair to speak on them because I just wasn't there. I can't really sit down and say this competition was that, rules back then was this. I really don't have too much to say about them. But the ones that when I started watching basketball was the Jordans in the after. I'll put Magic in there just because is Magic. But if I was to start the rankings,
Top 5.
top 5, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant.
His ball tell the whole story.
Kobe Bryant number 2.
Okay.
I'm gonna put Shaq number 3.
Ooh.
And I'm gonna put LeBron number 4.
Kobe is an interesting discussion to me because I'm trying to figure out
everybody
what
entitled to everybody entitled.
No,
to
they are, and I mean I can respect it, but what?
And who's your fifth? Who's your fifth?
I mean, 5, I would have to include the GOATs. I don't really have a top 5. I mean, 5 is hard. I want to say I don't want to put Magic up there because I didn't watch Magic, but how can I not say Magic Johnson? How can I not say that? Okay. I will put Magic Johnson. If I was in that era, I will put Magic over Kobe. I would like Kobe. That's my guy. So I can't put him there.
Okay. All right. Yo,
let me
for the call in too.
Hold on, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this first. What do you think Jordan? Because I hear this a lot, so I want to get your take on it. What do you think Jordan would have did in today's game?
In today's game, so is he going against today's players?
Yep. Yeah. You just dropping Jordan in right now in his prime around his first championship win. You dropping Jordan into the league right now. What's he doing?
Unless Michael Jordan team up with any team, he would never be Michael Jordan with the way the NBA format is set up right now. And that's what I got a big problem with LeBron, because teams have to team up to play the competition of today's NBA.
But I just told you how Mike and them had to team up, though. Everybody teamed up back in the day. The GMs just used to be the ones teaming them up. Though.
Exactly. Now the players is doing it. That's all it is.
If you look at the league, hey Tim, I don't know. Some people on live is asking about the number. I don't know if you got it on the page. If you want to tell them where it is.
Yeah, the calling number is on the page. If y'all want to go onto the Uncensored Philly Sportscast and just scroll down, you'll see the calling number. You can click the link and get right on.
Now, see, this is one of the things I had, and I think we kind of talked about it. One of the things Prentice said, he actually had some good points. Mm-hmm. But one of the things he said about Mike, he was like, it's kind of like the story. That's what we was talking about. Like it's that myth of Mike. I didn't even want to say myth. The legend of Mike. Yes, the legend of Mike. It's like one of them Jones. Mike slayed 50 giants and saved the princess from the dungeon with the dragon.
Something he said I want to comment on too. He said because of the super team era. I think that's a misconception. It was always super teams in the NBA. Yep. When you look through the career of NBA, it was always a super team. When
but you know what? Hold on, Ethan. You know what's funny?
The team got traded to the Lakers. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It actually wasn't always super teams. You want to know the time when it really wasn't any super teams?
When was that?
Jordan was running the league.
No.
Before Mike came in, he was running into the Pistons. Before Mike started winning, he ran into the Pistons, the Lakers. I mean, not the Pistons and the Celtics. They were great teams, super teams.
No, but see, and I agree with that. I mean, this is and that's why I asked him that question about Jordan, because everybody assumes that Mike would have handled business in the same fashion that things was done back then. This is a different era. This is why I said sometimes I have a problem with comparing Jordan, like his career versus LeBron career. If I'm gonna compare him, I'm gonna compare their basketball game. You know what I'm saying? Like when you start comparing championships and Bron left this team and Jordan never teamed up with this person, like you don't know that because the player, everything, the whole dynamic was different. Players are more in control of their careers, where they want to go, who they want to play with, all that. You don't know. As far as we know, if let's say Barkley and Jordan were together, Barkley rode Jordan so much, he probably wanted to team up with Mike, and Mike probably would have let him if he needed the help. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, because at a certain point, Jordan knew any team he played with, anybody he played with, he was going to be the best player. It's the same thing with LeBron. So it's not really like I'm teaming up necessarily with somebody that I need for them to uplift me. I just might need a little bit more assistance. But that's why I asked that question.
It's funny you made that point, though, because Phoenix actually did try to build a team.
They did. They
so when
traded for
people try to
Barkley.
say
They did.
Just for the record, super teams in this era, to me, was started by the Boston Celtics. And for that reason alone, LeBron James had to do what he had. When Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, and Paul Pierce teamed up for the Boston Celtics, that in this era was the first super team.
But it's different when the GM do it. It's excusable when a GM do it. But when a player want to link together, when players want to take control of their own career and do that type of stuff, it is frowned upon. But you know what? It actually was a couple. See, the problem was back in Mike's day when they made these so-called super teams, you was getting it with the older players. Like Houston tried to do it. Remember, Houston went and got Scottie Pippen. They went and got Clyde Drexler, Barkley.
Yeah.
But even before they won, they put Clyde up there. They went and got Clyde and put him with Akeem and then got Scotty. Like so, I mean, teams always been trying to link up, but because Bron linked up with his homies, it's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, and see, and my thing is, like I said, when I'm comparing the games, and I said this to y'all earlier, this is my thing I stand on with LeBron. And I'm not even saying LeBron is the undisputed GOAT. I'm not saying that. But if I had to pick a team, I'm going to have to start with either Bron or Shaq.
Me too.
And the reason
That's
why
my
I'm talking about Bron is the only player in NBA history that can be the best player on the floor in every category. He could be the best defender, he could be the best passer, he could be the best scorer, and he could be the best rebounder. He could do everything to the best, and sometimes he'd do all four in the same game. You know what I'm saying? So as we saw in the championship, this past championship, and what did he do it 7 times? He led the team in the 3 major statistical categories: rebounds. I mean, like, but I think it was 7 times
Brian actually led the league in assists 1 year.
Listen, I actually,
that's what I'm saying.
personally,
this is my point. His game is so versatile. He's the only player we knew that could do that. The only player that kind of was on that tip of form, and I'm not sure about his defense, was the bull, what's his name? Who averaged a triple-double, the first one to ever average triple-double through the year.
Oscar
Robinson. He was the first one ever. But I didn't know his defense was hitting for. I just know he did the rebounds, assists, and scoring. But
me personally, I know a lot of people are real nostalgic and they think the 90s, the late 80s, early 90s, Jordan era was the best era of basketball. I watched that. I grew up through it. I watched Jordan win all his chips. I watched him win all 6. I started watching basketball. Lord Thomas III was my favorite basketball player when he won his back-to-back chips against the Magic growing up. Now, I seen all this era of basketball. To me personally, I know a lot of older dudes don't want to change. This is the most exciting era of basketball to me, man. I mean, the dudes are very athletic. They can play. They can shoot from all over the court, man. I know everybody be like, they play extra physical. They play hard. You got fouled. And they didn't call fouls. Michael Jordan actually, he still averaged more foul shots a game than LeBron. So you act like he wasn't going to the line. He was still getting to the line. That's including his 2 years with the Wizards when he shot 4 foul shots a game. Jordan was shooting 10, 11, 12 foul shots a game in the league that didn't call fouls.
Listen, I got a chance to look at the some of the old 90s teams.
Did you stay awake?
Some of the old 90s teams. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Okay. And them 90s teams, there were some really good teams that was out there. If you look at that 94, 95 Houston Rockets team, that was a good team.
Yeah, Mike didn't play though.
That 98, 99 New York Knicks team.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Come on with the Knicks.
Don't do that with the Knicks.
That Knicks team was they had Marcus Camby, they had Chris Childs, they had Patrick Ewing, Allen Houston, Larry Johnson, LJ, Dennis Scott, Latrell Sprewell. He was a beast.
No, Sprewell was a beast. I give you that. I like.
But first of all, you putting you saying Pat Ewing like he was a baller. Pat Ewing was like an afterthought that year because that's the year you talking about the year they got to the finals. Pat Ewing was doodoo juice.
Oh Wayne, let me ask you, what y'all think about the talent then and the talent today?
I think that players are more talented now. Honestly, I think the best era of basketball was the 2000s, like the early 2000s, like when you had Kobe, AI, Shaq. And you know what I'm saying? And then I think that era, T-Mac, all them dudes, I think that was the best era of basketball in my opinion.
We got the #1 Bron hater in the world right now.
Yeah.
Y'all, Because he got the #1 Brian hater, I think, on the East Coast at least. On the line. Crawley, talk to me.
His audio ain't in yet. Did you connect audio, Mike? I mean, Jamal.
Oh, yeah.
That's higher beings don't want him to let him talk his foolishness. He being restricted.
That's a intervention. They make it so long.
But I'm saying it was those 90s teams was great.
No, they wasn't, Tim.
Yo, what up?
What's up, boy?
What's good with y'all, man?
You guys want to tell us?
Number one.
Are you here to celebrate LeBron James?
Absolutely not.
You gonna give him his props? You gonna give him his props? Let's start here. You gonna get a little? You gonna at least give him his props?
Flowers now.
This is what I'm saying.
Yo,
this is what I've been saying since. This is what I've been saying since 2009. I feel like Brian is great, but he has moments on the court where you just looking at him like, yo, you the best player on this floor and you playing like a seventh man or something. Like greats will take the opportunity to be great and do what they got to do to win the game. If you look at the rings,
you seen a point in that this last couple games? You seen that in these last couple games?
No, I haven't. Because when he was about 2 feet from the court, yes, he had 4 men on him, but he was also above
4 men.
The air. He was above them in the air. Shoot the ball and get the foul.
Hey, Mike, listen. Let me to keep it a beam with you. I felt the same way about Brian. Honestly, early on in his career, I felt the same way about him, and that's why I wouldn't put him. I wasn't even putting him over Kobe at the time. But
so what makes you put him over Kobe now?
Because I don't think that Brian is that same player no more. You can't tell me you find a problem with him passing out to a wide open Danny Green, who is supposed to be a 3-and-D guy. Mike didn't pass out to Kerr. Mike ain't passing out to Paxson.
Hold up.
Mike ain't passing out to
I never said he didn't. But what I did see is that he passed out to a wide open Danny Green, who was thinking it up this playoff.
It was a wide
but that's just shooter. That's just shooter.
So you telling me that if you could just go easy off the glass because you're right next to it, you're gonna pass it out to a shooter?
So how easy is it to go off the glass when you just said he got 4 people on him?
He was above all of them. He was already in the air when the 4th man was coming over to him.
That's that Jamai, can you show me a game-winning shot where Michael Jordan shot with 4 people on him?
He got a couple, I think.
No, he doesn't.
He explained himself. He explained himself. He said, "I thought it was going to get blocked, so I brought it back down."
That wasn't a game-winning shot.
And it wasn't over. He was going down the lane through. He didn't go over nobody. He went around them. And his point, though. His most famous shots is one-on-one. Him when he pushed off Byron Russell. That was just him and Byron. When he shooting in Craig Elo face, that was him and Craig Elo. That's one person. Where do you see where Mike taking his game-winning shot over 4 bulls jumping at him? You don't.
All I'm saying is that if you're going to be the biggest and the best player on the court, that's where you make your name. That's where somebody like me can see that and say, you know what? I ain't got no argument with that.
How many players do you know in their 17th year in the NBA doing what he's doing?
Here we go with that.
See now.
Here we go with that.
How about this?
Y'all act like this boy's first 4 years in the league wasn't still a teenager.
I mean, but still 17 years.
And he still was up in the ranks. He still was balling as a teenager.
I was saying all the things y'all saying right now back then. But then when I started seeing these traits of I don't want the limelight when something can go wrong, and I don't. That's when I got.
Let me ask you this, Jamai. If the numbers show, right? If the numbers show, hold on, in the playoffs, that LeBron James has more game-winning shots than Jordan, does that tell you anything?
No, because
this is factual.
So the numbers show that he got more game-winning shots than Jordan, right?
Yeah, I'm just asking the question. So that's still saying LeBron not clutch?
Yes. Yes, I am.
No, because I mean that's just the narrative, and it's funny. That's just I call that the Skip Bayless narrative.
This is the mad rapper.
It's the legend of Mike.
See, a lot of times y'all LeBron nights and y'all LeBron-sexuals, y'all just automatically go to Mike. Y'all automatically go to Mike.
All right.
Because Mike is the only person that's comparable to him.
Jamal, who's your top 3?
So if you go in rings, if you're going rings,
I'm going Bill Russell. How about that?
I agree with you because I was about to say the same
thing.
Bill
Russell. It ain't Mike.
Jamai, who's your top three?
Top three of all time?
Yeah.
Jamai.
Kobe.
No. Wait 1 second before you speak. Because me and you had this personal conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I asked you to name your top 10. And I almost, you wasn't my man, I almost banged on you when you tried to tell me that you was taking AI and the dot over LeBron.
I'll say it again. I am.
So
okay. No matter who his top three is, he just voided his list.
All right, who's your top three?
But see, I feel like you get more bragging rights when you beat the so-called best, right?
So who did AI beat?
I don't ever want to play with Bron.
Who AI beat?
Did Bron beat the best?
You do realize Bron
beat the best?
In 7 of his finals appearances, he played against dynasties. 7 of them.
Okay.
And he's won some against them.
Okay. Let me ask y'all this then.
Go ahead.
Go your top three.
My top three of all time, my personal opinion, I gotta go with Shaq, Olajuwon, and Jordan.
That's not a bad top three.
I mean, I can't.
I'm not taking Olajuwon over LeBron.
I'm not taking Shaq over him either. I love Shaq. Shaq is like my second favorite player.
Shaq is the most dominant player to ever play this game.
I think Bron might be the most dominant.
You might have a point. Shaq was just something different.
I mean, now physically, Shaq was imposing.
Is again?
Yeah.
He ain't getting on again. No, he don't get to come back on and just. I know other people trying to call.
He want to get off.
I know it's other people trying.
Tim, you asked the question: anybody that's dominant in their 17th year? Actually, for Kobe stats, Kobe in the 17th year actually was still balling. Now he wasn't as dominant completely with the rebounds and assists and with carrying the weight of his team, but he was averaging 27 points a game. I have to say that's pretty solid. Kobe Bryant.
You talk about Kobe? Did they make the playoffs?
27.6 assists, 5 rebounds. And
that sounds like almost a LeBron's average year.
I'm just saying that.
That's LeBron's career average.
No, I'm just saying 17th year he was still balling. Now I don't know what the team record was. That we be looking at that to see how much what kind of weight he was really carrying. But there was some solid numbers.
All right.
Do we just throw out Jordan the last 2 years with the Wizards? They don't count, right?
Oh, Jordan fans don't want to count them. They don't want to count them.
All right, just checking.
Guess what? And Brown a better GM than Mike too, because Mike picked Kwame Brown. Mike drafted Kwame Brown number 1. So Brown a better GM than Mike too.
Listen,
not
two.
Go ahead.
Sometime with the Mike fans, is it almost like nostalgic of your childhood, like you remember sitting there as a child watching?
I think some of it is.
You just can't get past.
I still think
I hated Mike growing up.
I have no nostalgia over Michael Jordan whatsoever. I lost a lot of money betting against.
That's because you were the Knicks fan. You said
exactly. So that's why I'm. That's what I'm saying. When I'm gauging Michael as the GOAT. And earlier today, I was kind of swayed toward LeBron, but I'm still gonna give it to Mike as of right now, because when I look back at those teams, those Indiana teams, they were loaded.
Who? With who?
The Indiana
boys.
Oh my God!
Who?
They had
Reggie Miller.
Antonio Davis, Dale Davis.
How many of them made the Hall of Fame?
Derek McKee, Reggie Miller, young Jalen Rose.
How many of them are in the Hall of Fame?
Doesn't matter. They were a great team. It don't matter if all of them not in the Hall of Fame, but if you're a great team, that was a really good team.
Reggie Miller is suspect. Reggie Miller. He averaged like 20 points a game. Like, stop, man.
Davis brothers was physical.
Boy, be hyping something. Sometimes you gotta go back and look at these dudes' stats, bro. Like they were Reggie for his time. That was nice. People consider Reggie one of the greatest shooters because in that era he was. But you look at some of the dudes now that can shoot and the way these boys play now. Reggie wouldn't make it. No, Reggie wouldn't be that in this league.
No, Reggie's still that dude. I'm not hitting on Reggie.
No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't.
Reggie.
No.
He was 6'7". He was 6'7"
like that. He was 6'7", and now you got that's like average height for point guard, 6'7".
No, he was shooting the lights out though. He was a sniper. He was the original.
He was ball in any era. I'm not hating Reggie.
Nope.
You by yourself on that.
If anybody had live 95 back in the day, they knew you would go with Reggie Miller.
What's up, Kim?
Good evening, gentlemen.
Yo, what's going on?
Well,
Right, this is my $2.50 before I get into bed.
all right.
How can you not be considered great? Because without going to the championship 10 times, you got to be able to get in the game to be able to even have a shot at the title.
Mhm.
That child came into the league 18 years old with a team. Every team he had, with the exception of Miami, was people who are nowhere to be found a year or two after he left. I feel like he had to go through more people. And when it's all said and done, his numbers, because if people want to go by numbers, if his numbers will exceed Michael Jordan. If you want to talk about him not taking clutch shots, him going to different teams, all those things are all well and good. When it's all said and done, when you put the numbers up, he will be greater than Michael Jordan potentially.
That's not true though. Mike averaged more points and more still. Mike averaged like 2.3 steals for his career. Mike averaged more points.
But I'm saying when it's all said and done.
He will catch Mike in points though.
That's what I'm saying.
Points per game?
No, just points total. Don't catch him in total points.
Like when it's all done, Wayne, his numbers, he's going to be number 1 or number 2 in several categories, potentially.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Now, if we're talking about potentially, then at that time, that's a different argument. I'm just saying if we're talking about right now, though, and I agree with you. I do think that I've always thought Brown had the talent to be the greatest ever. I just thought his mindset wasn't there. But I think he got the total package now.
That's the thing where people will always undercut him, because Mike had that killer mentality. Mike was punching people in the face in practice and so forth and so on.
He did.
LeBron will share the ball at a critical moment. All things that people hold as a discredit to him, but it actually should be a credit to him, because he's shown I can take anybody. He took that little Brazilian boy with the curly hair to the finals. Mike had enough sense to go and say, hey, look, go get Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, he did.
Mike had a team around him every championship he had. He still was the man.
They were the dynasty. Yeah, they were the dynasty at that time.
Now, why don't your brother? You know, your brother doesn't. He don't feel the same way you do. He can't stand LeBron James. You do understand that, right?
I don't speak for my brother.
But listen, I mean,
was talking today.
Kim, the point you make it, I mean, I agree with. Like I said, I'm. If you want to say Jordan to go, I'm cool with that. My whole thing is
that's a given.
Yeah,
that's,
I mean,
that's a given.
And that's fine with me. But my whole thing is people paint or have this imagery of Jordan that is so far exceeds the reality of Jordan sometimes. And I always said it before, if you would take Michael Jordan himself, and you could recreate Michael Jordan and drop him into today's game, he himself could not measure up to old Jordan, the legacy, the mindset that people have that he's built. So it's like, I mean, that's some of it that really carries this argument. And not saying the 6 championships and all that wasn't legit, but some of the stuff you hear that add to Mike never would have passed. He would have did this. Yeah. He would have did that. Like it's all this stuff that adds to the legacy that nobody will never be able to compete with.
And nobody ever
wants 4 people and made it.
And nobody ever wants to talk about Mike's first few years when he was getting bounced out in the first round.
Thank you. So here's the thing. The things that Michael Jordan did, people thought no one would ever be able to touch. Come on, he was known for floating through. He's floating on air. He's flying. It's so many things that Mike did that people thought would never be touched. And oops, LeBron James is quietly and secretly doing it. But since he's not doing it the way Mike did it, nobody's giving him credit. That's why Kobe get all the credit, because Kobe tried to chew his gum like Mike, walk like Mike.
He did.
He did.
So that lent Kobe to being more favored to people, because he was in the imagery of Michael Jordan. LeBron James, let's keep in mind, people, he's not even a point guard. He's a forward.
Mm-hmm.
He's a forward playing point guard, and he can play potentially any position if need be.
Yep.
So you not be considered the great or number 2, definitely top 5 of all time, considering what he done.
I agree.
Agreed.
I think,
listen, this is my thing is right. It's I think one of the biggest things about LeBron is I call it the LeBron factor. You can drop LeBron on any team in this league. The Charlotte Hornets, I don't care who it is, and I'm telling you, he makes players for some reason. LeBron elevates these players to play better than they actually are.
I agree.
I don't know what it is about what he does or the way he leads teams and leads players. These guys play better because when he's not there no more, these guys ain't the same player. I don't care. You can say what you want.
I agree.
He makes players play better than they are.
I think the same thing about Jordan, though. I mean, I think Jordan had that effect. It was just different. I think LeBron leads by letting these dudes know, keep giving them the ball. I'm going to rock with you. I'm going to rock with you. Keep shooting.
But you know what, though, Ephraim? Only thing about that is when you look at it, when Mike was no longer in Chicago, Scotty and B.J. Armstrong played better. They put up better numbers. When Brian leaves these dudes,
Jordan,
they had a Hall of Fame coach. They had the team was nice.
No, I get that. But the only thing I'm saying is like when we talking about somebody making players better, though, right?
That's my point, though. But he had boys like Scott Williams. He got paid, and when he left, he was trash. He had boys
he was always trash. Though.
He was trash on that team.
Trash. And guess what? The dumb team that actually paid him.
The Sixers.
Exactly.
Scott Williams, he looked like that boy. Not like that boy.
No, he didn't. No. They had a three-headed monster.
My point is, he looked better.
This is my
Sixers. And I think that's why he got paid. They wouldn't have paid that much if
he got paid because the Sixers wanted somebody with championship experience.
This is my thing.
Michael Jordan. Wait, real quick. Y'all want to hype up Reggie Miller? He averaged 18 points a game. Let's see with Reggie Miller.
He was a great clutch player.
18 points
to me.
How clutch was he? How many chips he win? How clutch was he?
I mean, he was in that Michael era. He stopped a lot of Mike. You know, Mike stopped a lot of getting championships.
They ain't even lose to Mike and them like that.
He lost.
Go ahead. I just had to let you know. Stop gassing Reggie.
Reggie's a great player.
I wait.
Go ahead, Ephraim.
My point is, I think they lead in different ways. Look, Mike was more of a motivator, yell in your face, just sport. Like he was kind of like Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis was that kind of motivator of me. LeBron was a teacher of the game. You be here, you be there. This is where you need to be at to be successful. And that's how he got the best out of you. Jordan got the best out of you by motivating. Listen, go ahead and do it. Stop playing.
Mike was a bully.
Mike wasn't no motivator. He was probably the worst player you want to play with as far as a team.
Mike didn't win until the great teams got old.
Mike was not a great teammate.
The Detroit Pistons, the Celtics, and the Lakers.
You ever hear Craig Hodges and all them talking about him and Horace Grant, those stories with Horace Grant? He was not somebody you want to play with.
But my point is, he got results out of them dudes, and they themselves said it. They said it themselves. It's like a coach. You know how many people don't like playing for certain coaches? I can't get you yell too much. What's the coach name for the Giants? Nobody could stand him. But guess what? They won 2 championships with him. My point is, everybody leads in different ways. I'm not going to knock Mike for the results. He got results out of these dudes. They won 6 championships. So
I think another difference between Mike and LeBron is, I think Mike needs a team built a certain way to win, and LeBron can win with a team built anyway. He showed that he can win. He could win with Kyrie, point guard. He could win with Kev Love, forward. He can win with a big man with Anthony Davis, and he can win with a guard in Dwayne Wade. And he could win with any coach. I think Mike needed he needed a Phil Jackson, and he needed a Scottie Pippen in order for him to win his chips.
I mean, he had a great coach. That was facts. I mean, he had that one with him and one without him. So he had a great coach.
What's up, Shaq?
What's up?
What's good? Y'all getting spicy in here. Y'all getting spicy.
What you got, bro?
You got to talk to us.
Listen, man. So first of all, you got to know the background. All right, Wayne knows me really well, but I got some strikes to get me, so I'm gonna just throw it out there now. I was born in '93. That's his first.
Okay.
All right, so Mike, I can't really, of course, I'm a huge basketball buff, so I've seen the tapes. The 30 for 30 was great, but it's nothing like that raw experience of just watching live. I didn't, get to experience that for the best prime that I could remember, like visually. So Mike always is kind of like what y'all were referring to earlier. It's kind of like the myth of Mike, like the legend of him for me. Two, I'm a Jersey kid, born and raised, so a lot of Knicks and Nets.
We won't hold that against you.
Right, I already know coming in.
No, wait. Let me get Shaq this before we Shaq downplaying his basketball. This boy watches high school basketball. Let me.
Oh no, I'm deep
like
in it too.
Shaq be on he be watching these dudes from like high school level. He be talking about dudes like in middle school. I'm like, who? And then next thing you know, this boy in college balling out.
Yeah.
So Shaq is a student of the game.
That's a fact.
Shaq,
That's a
you
fact.
was watching LeBron in high school?
Yeah. He actually came to Trenton, where I'm from. Him and Melo for the primetime shootout. There's this thing they do in Trenton every year. The top high school programs from around the country come. I did have a privilege of seeing him there in the primetime shootout. Melo's senior year, they played a couple times. Saw LeBron in high school, and it's just like, it's nobody ever, like, if we're talking about raw ability, you can't even compare. You know what I mean? 6'9", 6'8", 250, 235, whatever you want to call it, running down the court in 7 steps, you just can't compare. And of course, you have that legend of Mike to go against him, and it's hard to beat 6 for 6. It just is.
That's true.
However, if we're just, whenever people debate the best, I always say it's different comparisons. Like, if we're talking about the ability to play basketball, you have to go Bron. If we're talking about who's more successful, okay, then you could go Mike, possibly Kobe. All right, we're talking about who played basketball better, then that's a whole different debate. Possibly Mike, possibly Kobe, whatever. But after this last one, it's been a huge influx of Bron hate, obviously always around this time of year.
It is.
And then also, if you remember, he's one behind Kobe now, and Kobe lost 2. Of course, Bron lost 3, but you're going to hear a lot of hardcore, of course, with Kobe passing and everything, you're going to hear a lot of hardcore Kobe fans all of a sudden throwing these narratives for no reason.
Yep.
Is the hate the fear of LeBron passing their legends?
Yeah, exactly. And that's all it is.
It's also because people hated on Bron so bad. You know how sometimes you hate on somebody so bad, you rooting for them not to succeed?
Yeah.
It's kind of like Tim with Carson Wentz. But that's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like you root, like you've been rooting for that boy to lose so bad. Now when he wins, you just try to find anything to hate on him on.
His whole career. Since he was a high schooler, nobody has reached expectations like LeBron has. We were supposed to hate him. He was deemed the greatest in high school. Anybody coming out of high school is like, oh, he's the next Michael Jordan, next LeBron.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, Zion. I hated Zion coming out. When I see him drum, I'm like, all right, it might be something there. Like, it's just nobody has reached that expectation level like LeBron, and that right there deserves GOAT-worthy talk to me.
I agree.
Who's your top 3?
Nobody else has ever hate that. So.
Who's your top 3?
If we're just talking about just overall, everything included, success, ability to play basketball, talent, everything, I personally would go Bron. I do hate the Bron sexuals and all how his stats are gassed up. But if you just look at raw basketball, you have to give him his props.
What makes a person, because everybody, the thing that irritates me is if I say I like Bron, all of a sudden I'm a Bron sector. What makes you the Bron?
No. We know the difference.
We know the difference. I know somebody in here.
The Sports Center stat that says whenever a baby was born on the western wing of a hospital on December the 3rd, LeBron has had 7 more triple doubles than anybody ever. It's like, come on, like, we know he's great. We don't have to guess. Like, that's Bron sexual, right?
Okay,
Bron is the only person that almost had a triple double on his baby mama's birthday.
Yeah.
What the heck is that doing?
But why'd you cut him off?
No, I cut the boy Shaq off.
That's my man. Listen, Shaq.
I'm gonna start keeping score. How many so
Shaq
far?
a little wise beyond his years.
Thank you for the call, boy. That was
Thanks,
some good
Shaq.
stuff.
We appreciate you.
No, he ain't even give his top 3. Hey, Shaq, in the comments, put your top 3 down.
He'll probably send it on to me. Send it to me, Shaq.
He a little itchy with the trigger finger. But you know what? I'm gonna tell y'all why bulls hate Bron. and I think I see it clearly now. Bulls hate Bron because he didn't follow the quote unquote Jordan regimen. See, if you look at Kobe, right? Kobe followed he wanted to beat Jordan so bad that he followed everything kind of like step for step as much as he could with Mike. That's why dudes love Kobe, right? They felt he had he had that Mamba, that he made this whole thing Mamba mentality, which presents and put the picture in everybody's mind, the killer instinct. Mm-hmm. So he kind of followed the mold of Jordan. When LeBron left and did things on his own terms and went to Miami, that's when everybody started turning on him. That's when Jemiah turned on him. That's when Prentice turned on him. They felt that you were supposed to stick it out. You were supposed to stick it out through all the hard times, like Jordan did against the Pistons, like Jordan did against the Celtics. You were supposed to stick it out with your one team and get your team championship. If Bron would have did that with Cleveland, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, if he never left and went to Miami, you wouldn't hear this conversation.
But guess what? But that wasn't what everybody did. Barkley left the Sixers because they wasn't putting no help on the team.
He did. Hold on, y'all. Let me ask y'all a question.
No, wait a minute, because I want to address some of these comments I'm seeing on the
I know that's what I'm about to do, Wayne.
Do you see?
Wayne,
and Jordan, my man, Jordan Barrett, he said Bron is the most media-supported athlete in the history of sports. Did you
That's
ever?
What I was going at.
Wait a minute. First of all,
Bron is the most hated
Jordan,
ever.
if I'm not wrong, Jordan is from Chicago. So let's put a little bit on it. Mike was the most loved by the league, by the refs, by the David Stern. Mike was the most supported athlete of all times.
I think Michael Jordan.
I watched it.
No, listen, Michael Jordan was the most loved athlete by the media. But
sometimes I dream.
But Kobe is loved, not Kobe, but LeBron is loved by the NBA. The NBA let him.
No, LeBron is hated. LeBron is hated. Hated by the league.
I see the NBA.
No, I don't think
they let him do anything he want to do.
No, I'm gonna tell you.
No, they don't.
I think the league is a love-hate relationship with Bron. I honestly think I'm gonna tell you, and I'm gonna go back and I want to bring this up to him. Glad
they hate Bron because Bron makes some social stances. That's what the league.
No, they hate Bron because Bron was the first player to call his own shots. Some owners don't want players calling their own shots, signing them short 2 and 3 year deals, and then
shut up and dribble.
Yeah, I'm telling you, they don't like that. So Bron he's loved by the league because he's a cash cow. He's Bron. But they don't like the fact, and I'm gonna tell you how I know for certain. The simple fact that Iggy got that MVP against Golden State let me know everything I need to know about how media and them owners feel about LeBron. They gave Iggy that aboard that average, like 16, 15 points a game, shot 28% from the free throw line, mind you. Don't knowing doggone well Curry should have got that. They're gonna give it to Iggy because Iggy so-called slowed LeBron down. That was the most.
Curry shouldn't have got it. Bron should have got it. Let's say that.
And Bron averaged a triple-double that series.
But what I will say is, I think you're looking at.
I'm gonna give it to Bron.
I think you're looking at it a little bit differently. I think the fact that they gave it to Iggy actually shows me how good Bron was.
Nah, that was disrespect.
I'm telling you why it says that. You know why? Because they gave it to Iggy because they said Iggy shut Bron down. He slowed Bron. Bron was killing it still. So for you to say that this boy shut Bron down and Bron still dropping like 30-something a game, that's because they expect Bron to put 40.
But that's what I'm saying. That it was a lie. It was a lie that they gave his due the MVP, the Finals MVP on. That to me was the most disrespectful thing you could do, is try to paint this narrative. Because when you give somebody MVP, right, they're gonna reflect and say, well, why he went MVP? Was the first thing goes? It wasn't because of scoring. It wasn't because he was lead the team in rebounds. They're gonna say he shut Bron down. So they now this is the narrative that he so-called shut Bron down. When you hear Skip Bella say it all the time, Iggy got the MVP because he shut Bron down.
But guess what? But then all you gotta do is look at the stats.
That's my point.
You like that's shutting them down.
Everybody ain't that smart. Everybody lazy. People lazy. People just want to hear.
First of all, don't talk like Skip Bellis is a source of solid information.
He started this whole narrative.
But wait, hold on. Shaq said what his top three was. Shaq said he got Bron, Mike, and then he got a three-way tie for third. He got Kobe, Shaq, and Wilt. He said you can make a debate for anyone.
What was Kim's number one? Who did she say?
I think she was kind of leaning toward Bron. James, Jordan Barrett. I think you know what? I think Jordan Barrett. We got to track his history because his real name might not even be Jordan. He might have changed his name.
Oh, that's his name. That's his name.
He changed his name. His real name was like Clinton. His real name was like Clinton Barrett or something.
But I believe Jordan is from. Put it in the comments, Jordan. I know you from Chicago. If I'm not mistaken, he's from Chicago.
I want to see his birth certificate. He like Obama. I want to see his birth certificate because it probably say something like George or something. It ain't Jordan.
he changed his name as a grown man, like Jordan.
But no, I'm telling y'all, a lot of people turned on Brown with the decision, man. That's where a number of these Bulls started turning on Brown with the decision because they felt he should have followed the Jordan mantra and stuck it out with his team, and that's when he started hating. Telling y'all, as Jamon, as Prince.
But you know what though? Honestly, I think it's just because it's the same way with me with Kobe. Sometimes the Bron fans, those Bron, what we call them, Bron sexuals.
George,
hold up, let him go. Hold up, my man is here. Let him defend himself. What's up, George?
I'll talk to you in a minute, man. What's good with you?
Can y'all hear me?
You can hear you.
Sir.
Okay.
Hear you. Now
go ahead. What you got?
Sideways.
Yeah, you upside down.
Now you upside down. See, that's all that blasphemy talking.
He just had a night. What's
good, bro?
Hey, now, obviously, you can tell I'm not a big LeBron fan from my comments, but I can keep it real, right? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. To me, LeBron is the most talented. He's the most talented player as far as potential, but his mental aspect didn't live up to Jordan.
Why you say that?
Now I say that because when I said those media comments, I meant like media is different now, right? We all know that league stuff is tied into the media, ESPN, Nike, they all have those connections, right?
Okay.
But so when you look at that and you look at how much money is included, like MJ's biggest contract, like J.R. Smith is probably making that this year sitting on the bench, right?
All right.
So like LeBron is the biggest, like they push LeBron so hard. If it wasn't for that, I would probably just be like, yeah, you can call him GOAT or whatever, but I wouldn't care. But it's the constant, like, LeBron.
Hold on. Wait. First of all, the whole media thing you talking about, like with Nike and all the, Mike started that. So I'm saying, like,
media was different, right? Like we didn't have phones, we didn't have ESPN, right? And I know, like for me, I had cousins that lived in other cities. Like I was born in Detroit, right? So all my family's in Detroit. They couldn't stand MJ because with the bad boy Pistons, but none of them were denying that he was the GOAT. They couldn't stand him. So
but that's what I'm saying though with Mike. But you saying about the media, Mike was the league. Mike was the face of the league. Everywhere you went, people that didn't even know about basketball knew Michael Jordan. Like,
exactly.
So what's the difference?
But it wasn't with that? Because players weren't anointing him the best until after they had looked at his resume. Whereas the whole time from the time LeBron came into the league, they were just like every other player, right? They say that's really good coming out of high school. Oh, he's going to be the next GOAT. He's going to be the next GOAT.
Okay, but do you give LeBron any credit to living up to the hype and past the hype?
Oh, I give him credit as being one of the greatest of all times, except for when it comes to GOAT. To me, I have no problem saying that he's not in my top 5. But if you put him in your top 5,
he's not in your top 5.
Who's your top 5? Who's your top 5?
Treason, treachery.
Let him run it. Who's your top 5?
And this is going from players that I personally seen play, and then players that I have to get from old heads that I haven't seen play. So I would have MJ, of course.
Let's change it. Okay. Let's do everybody you seen play. Now who you did. Let's see who you
everybody
seen
who play. I've seen play.
Yes.
Yeah, he has to be in there. Okay. He has to be in there. So
I know a lot of people want to
about your all-time 5.
And I like Kareem too. You know, Kareem and
because I mean, like we're all basketball heads, right? So whether we've seen them play live, we can look at a piece of footage of them and say, "Oh yeah," or we can read accounts of them and say, "Oh yeah," like he was one of the greatest of all time. So that's how I include my greatest of all time. If you ask me who my favorite is,
what you got.
My favorite has nothing to do with my all-time greatest list. So my all-time greatest list is MJ, Larry, Magic, Kareem, and I go back between what's the cat the Lakers got?
Kobe, Shaq.
No, not Kobe or Shaq. The old guy.
James Worthy.
Will.
Hey, first of all, Wilt was a Sixers guy, or the Philly guy before he was the Lakers. So stop that.
Where'd he get his chip at though?
He got one in Philly. He got his first one in
Philly. Got one with the Warriors.
He got his first one in Philly.
That counts. So those for me are my top 5 greatest. Now, if you ask me who my favorite are, that has nothing to do with greatest because I'm a small guy and I always went for either regularly sized players or small players.
Curry.
So my favorite are MJ, Kobe, Iverson, Steph Curry. And
he's my man.
What's the cat? Like I get online, I can't remember the Pistons. Isaiah Thomas. Those are my top 5.
Isaiah, listen, but let's be real. Let's narrow it down to really the. Oh, you cut him off.
Good.
Now go ahead. We'll finish comment.
Ethan trying to make him narrow it down to make him pick Brian.
No, I want listen.
Let that man say what he got to say.
No, I want him to narrow down to the GOAT. Like who. Let's put up the top 3 GOAT.
But he just told you who his top 5 players of all time was. He just told you who he thought were the top 5 best players of all time.
Looks like we have a bronze-sexual out of the 4 of us.
We already know we did.
I just asked the question. I say them out. Nah, it's cool.
Right now, wait, y'all never told who's y'all. Is all y'all LeBron?
But I'm gonna put it like this. I respect Larry Bird.
I'll let you know, Tim.
But it is no way in the world if you put Larry Bird on the court with LeBron James, and Larry Legend was the man. But ain't no way in the world he keeping up with LeBron and doing nothing with LeBron.
Grace.
Ain't no way in the world.
He gonna catch that work.
No, listen. You know what? I mean,
Larry was different though.
Definitely. I hated Larry too, but I got to give him respect.
I won't say he going to stop Bron and not like that, but he'll give Bron buckets. He'll give Bron some buckets.
No, because Larry hit a lot of difficult shots and stuff, so I will give him that. But a lot of stuff. But if you look at Larry, a lot of stuff Larry do and sometimes that's about the era that you was in. But Larry was slow of foot, and now you talking about Bron being Larry's size and being more athletic and quicker. So, I mean, Larry's still gonna get his to an extent, but I think Bron can stop Larry more than Larry can stop.
Ryan, call up. Ryan said I'm begging on people like I'm asking.
I think the athletes today are incredible.
I agree with that. I think it's something to be said though. I do like the point Ethan was saying about it's something to be said about people see and certain because the era that we talking about now, right? For the most part, from like the late 80s when I started watching basketball, like 88. So you're talking about the late 80s, always 90s, 2000s. All right, you got a full complement of teams. When you start going back as far as Will and Oscar and all them, you talking about 8, 12 teams.
9 teams. Yeah.
When you start talking about these boys wearing Chuck Taylors, I started looking at it.
I mean, that's my thing though. But it's like that's why sometimes you do gotta kind of isolate this thing era-wise. Even truth be told, even the Jordan and LeBron era was drastically different as regards how the NBA is structured. When you talk about moving parts and players can now free agency now enter the whole, the whole thing. So it's so many different moving parts. And that's why when people say Jordan, if he playing now in the league today, he averaged 50, 60 points a game. You know how you get these boys talking all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, listen, we actually saw Jordan play in the 2000s and the 2010s. His name was Kobe Bryant. He was the closest thing to Jordan.
I was gonna say that.
Prentice, Bron would give Magic work. I
agree with Prentice. I agree with.
No,
I like.
You know I don't, because people got this mindset that
Magic was that.
Go ahead. What you talking about?
Prentice said that Mike wouldn't win like he did in this era because of the way the NBA is structured,
Mike would be Kobe. Mike would be Kobe.
That's what he would be.
Mike would win in this era. He still would win in this era.
He wouldn't win like he won then.
First of all,
there's no hand checking. Listen, there's no hand checking or anything like that. You know what? Toward the end of his career, toward the end of
Mike won his first
fadeaway jump shot. Nobody got that turnaround fadeaway jumper like Mike had.
And Mike got one called shooting a fadeaway like nobody ever did.
But he still that
he did.
The first three titles, he was athletic and he used his athleticism to win. Those last three titles, it was pure jump shots, and he was doing the things.
It was pure jump shots and foul shots. Yep, you're right.
Okay, and guess what? The league would have still gave those jump shots. Why would they change just because he moved up to another era?
Because
they don't give them to LeBron.
Wait a minute. Because how about instead of playing 6'3" two guards, Mike would have been going up against 6'7" and 6'8" wingmen that actually
went up there. He went up against
athletic ability.
Y'all forgot about Steve Smith. He went up against the Steve Smiths and all the other. There was tall shooting guards and small forwards.
Who?
Reggie Miller was 6'7". Allen Houston was 6'5".
Hey, wait, the last one get them when the mic go out.
My bad.
Yeah,
Listen, John Starks. John Starks was the one that they always had on mic. What was John Starks?
He was 6'3".
He was 6'4".
That's 6'3".
He was
6'3".
Mike was shooting over little dudes. Come on, man, stop.
Hey, Tim, I don't think he said he wouldn't win. He said he wouldn't win like he did.
I don't think he would, though.
I don't see Jordan.
I don't think he would.
In this era with free agency and people forming teams will go 6-0 in the final.
He still had Scottie Pippen. He still had Phil Jackson. He still had shooters. He had shooters.
He had shooters like they got today.
No, I'm saying he still had shooters around him. He still was the best shooting guard. He still had a Hall of Fame coach.
But no, see, you're not
the intangibles of a great team.
So let me ask you, what?
Hold on 1 second. No, nobody said if you drop Jordan with the Bulls. I said if you drop Jordan by himself in this era, you think he would still go 6-0?
It depends on it. It still depends on the team. I'm talking about with the Bulls. If you take that Bulls,
so you saying if Mike gets dropped in on a stacked team, then he would go?
No, I'm saying if you give Michael Jordan and those Bulls.
So you saying if Mike dropped in on a stacked team, he would go? You said depend on the team.
I'm telling you,
no matter what team you put LeBron on, they're a title contender as soon as he's on that team.
That's the difference.
That's not true because last year's team was not a title contender.
Brian got hurt. When
Brian got hurt, they wasn't a title contender. They was not a title contender last. They was not a title contender last year.
Do you realize before he got hurt, I think they was like the second best record in the West before he got hurt?
What you talking about?
They was not a title contender last year.
Listen.
Because listen, if they were so much of a title contender when he got hurt, they still would be in a playoff hunt. They didn't even make the playoffs. They still would have been in the playoff hunt if they was a title contending team.
That's the point we telling you. With Bron is the difference. He's the one who made him a title contender. This is the point we trying to say.
LeBron went to Cleveland and my bad.
Go ahead.
He went to Cleveland and everybody wanted to. He had Kyrie. Kyrie team was a lottery team. Twice.
I can't argue.
Remember when they picked the board, the bum board that ended up being a bust first, and then they picked Wiggins. Kyrie team was a lottery team. Bron came there and they go to the finals.
Hold on. And then what happened after the year after Kyrie left?
And then when Bron left,
hold up. After Kyrie left.
How about that? Kyrie left and he still went to the finals.
They went back to finals again. This is the point I'm saying. When you put Bron on the team, he is the factor and makes them a title contender. When you take him off, they're still not a title contender no more. That's the point we're saying. He is the piece.
My point was Michael Jordan. If any team that you put him on, he'll be successful. I still think
the Wizards. What happened to Washington?
How old was he? He was 37.
What happened to Washington?
How old is Bron?
Bron's 35 years old.
So Mike was a year older than Bron?
No, he was about 3 years older than Bron. That's
it. And Mike had a 2-year hiatus where he let them old knees rest for a little bit. Bron been going straight.
He was disciplined by the league. The league suspended him because he got his dad.
Because he was gambling.
He got his dad shot up.
Mike.
Like no. I think it is.
The Mike greatness stuff. And Mike's still the GOAT. So y'all making me say this, but I still think Mike is the GOAT for now. But everybody with this, stop with this majestic Mike.
I think it's a point. I think it's a point to note, though.
Yeah, Ephraim, answer my question. Who's your GOAT?
Like I said, this is how I break it down.
Oh
no, to me, like I told y'all,
it's a name.
The errors.
It's a name. It's just a name.
Listen. With everybody else that I agree with, if you talking about just if you talk about accomplishments, championship is Jordan. If you talk about a player and them individual players without no team, who you want first, I'm taking LeBron James.
Who is your GOAT?
I just told you.
No, I want to know who's your GOAT. Just give me one person. Don't preference it. Who's your GOAT?
I don't do that.
Oh my
God. No, I don't.
I can't.
Listen, the whole argument is a GOAT status, and you gonna say you don't do that.
No, my thing is, I'm not. I'm telling you. If I had to take one apart, let's rank my players. All right.
No, just tell me one person.
Listen, but I get what Ephraim's saying.
I know,
and I'm along the same
that's
line.
not the conversation we're having.
All right. Well, this is why I go with certain ways when I'm talking about GOAT, because it's like if I have the whole pool of the NBA of all-time players and I'm drafting, who was the first player I'm picking? I'm picking Bron or Shaq. I'm picking all day long.
I'm taking Shaq, but right now we're talking about as far as the GOAT. The question is like Ethan, who's the GOAT? LeBron James.
You know what he wanted to say? The fact that he hesitated.
And then Wayne,
it's a lot of good. Hold on, it's a lot of good arguments, man. But I just gotta look at it as what LeBron did, and everybody want to go back and they talk about these Hall of Famers. These dudes that LeBron James beat, I promise you, they'll be Hall of Famers, and these teams will be dynasties when it's all said and done. So for who he beat in the era, in the type of players that he played against, I gotta give it to LeBron.
You gonna give it to LeBron? Wayne, you said you had to still go with Mike, even though you feeling LeBron, but right now you're saying you still got to go with Mike, right? That's what you said a few moments ago.
No. I still do think that Mike, as of right now, still is the GOAT. I think Brown will catch him, but
I'm going to go back to Ephraim, top of my computer. Who's your GOAT?
Oh, he the top. Hold on, let me change. Where's Ephraim located? I have to drag my screen around so I can point to him.
I'm right here. I'm at the top.
Where is he at? Tim, where you at? You in top left, Tim?
Yeah, I'm in the top left.
Who's under you?
Wayne's under him too. To answer your question, Tim, I'm gonna say Jordan.
He right there, Tim?
Go with Jordan. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm at.
Diagonally. All right.
Who you going?
Hold on. See, this is stuff that gets me, right? That's like Bulls in here. Okay, of course it's y'all boy Jemai. Let's talk about something. If Kyrie don't hit that three, Brian gets his third ring. Brian hits his third ring last night. How about if Robert Horry didn't hit the three against the Sixers, then the Sixers would have been tied 2-2, and this, that, and the other. How about if John Paxson didn't hit that three for Mike against Seattle, then it'd been a different story. Like stop with that narrative, man.
Or how about if Charles Smith ain't missed that layup and get it blocked like 4 times by Scottie Pippen? We would have knocked off the Bulls. Yeah, and Patrick would have got his ring.
How about if a frog had wings, he wouldn't bump his behind so much.
Right. Like, come on with the ifs. We going by what it is. Like, stop.
Yo, right now, though, LeBron losing 7-3 for the debate between us and the callers. LeBron is losing.
Oh, I mean, you got the. I told you got these Bulls that's nostalgic. You got dudes. The thing is, you got dudes that never liked Michael Jordan. Hated Michael Jordan their whole life, but because they hate LeBron now, all of a sudden Jordan gets so many accolades.
I'm telling y'all, listen, I'm telling y'all why.
Mike was doing this and Mike was doing that. I hated Michael Jordan. It's because for real. He kept beating the Sixers. He knocked us out with Hersey Hawkins and Barkley. Barkley left us. He beat Barkley. I watched him beat Clyde Drexler. I watched him beat Magic. I watched it all.
Listen, man, these dudes cracks me up. You know what cracks me up though, because these boys talk. Who was the best? All right, let's talk about. Even if we just going to talk about, because first of all, it takes a team to win a championship. But now let's talk about the players that somebody had to pose at their position. How many great small forwards did LeBron face, and how many great shooting guards did Mike face? Mike was shooting against who was it? Hersey Hawkins. Mike was going against this.
Who always played the best player on the opposite team?
Somebody.
Pippen.
But that's what I'm saying though. Look at everybody talk about like okay, even when they played Seattle, it wasn't the glove playing against sticking Mike. They had like Hersey Hawkins sticking him.
So let me ask you.
When they played against Phoenix, Dan Marley was who was sticking Mike.
Let me ask you all this.
But now when you talk about Bron went up against KD like 3 times he went against KD. 4 times he went against what? 3 times against KD.
So he went on Paul Pierce.
Twice against he went against Paul Pierce. He went against Kawhi Leonard. Like LeBron faced like top players at his position every time.
So why do they always expect LeBron to guard the best player on the other team, but they didn't expect the same out of Mike?
Because this is the nostalgia, the whole thing we talked about Jordan. Jordan never passed the ball. He always guarded the best player. He always took the last shot. Like all this stuff is always he never needed no help. He was a one-man record.
Mike was a shutdown defender, though. Y'all can't say he was.
Listen, I'm not saying that, but Mike, that's very true what Ethan's saying. Mike did not consistently guard the best player on the other team. It may be easy to shut down a John Starks. It was easy.
A better defender. Mike was a better defender than Brian. I'm not gonna make that argument.
My thing is with Mike. Mike could be a better defender if you're playing against lesser talent, right? Is it easy to defend lesser talent? That's all I'm saying. Like,
we seen LeBron. Let's look at the playoffs, right?
This is facts. I'm not. Yeah, let me say my thing, but I'm not hating on Mike. I'm not saying Mike wasn't, but I'm just saying these is facts. You just riddled off the Bulls who Mike had to play against. You are going to look better playing against lesser talented dudes. I mean, that's not saying it's easy to do, but it's easier to do. So if you're gonna get accolades, you playing against Thunder Dan, or you gonna get accolades when you gotta defend John Starks, you gotta get accolades, you gotta defend Craig Elo, you gonna get accolades, you gotta defend Hersey Hawkins. Of course.
Oh my goodness, please, can I address something real quick?
Don't forget that 92. Wait, let me get in.
Go ahead.
Get that 92 Olympic squad when Michael Jordan, when it was the East versus West, and they was challenging. These were the best players in the world. And Michael Jordan was better than every last one of them players that he was playing with. These is all superstars.
Because they were all old at the time. But all right, let's go back to this.
No, that's a good point. But Tim, nobody hating on Mike's scoring ability. I'm talking about defender. Was he shutting anybody down? He just took the game over and started scoring. Ain't nobody said they was getting clamped by Jordan.
Down defender.
Well, who? On who though?
Wait. Because I gotta address it because I'm getting irked by this. Yeah, and Ryan on here. Kobe can't Brian. About that. And Kobe's the second greatest shoe guard of all times, but he ain't even the greatest at his position.
Start over. I came in late. Start over. What you say?
Kobe gas. It's like, no, Kobe's the second greatest shooting guard of all time. He's not touching Brian. Brian been past Kobe.
When did he pass him though?
He passed him about 3 years before Kobe retired. He passed him.
I don't know about that.
What makes Kobe better? Let me ask you that. What makes Kobe the better player?
What makes Kobe a better player?
Yeah.
It's not even about the better play. Just as far as GOAT levels, LeBron hasn't reached that peak yet. I mean, at the end of the day, when it's over, when his career is over, if he gets 2 more rings, maybe.
He needs
the rings?
He needs 2 more rings in order to pass him.
He needs 2 more rings to be the GOAT all time. He needs 2 more rings.
So what? But I'm saying if you saying, but now we just talking about with Kobe, right? Because I agree with you. To pass Mike, he needs 2 more. But you saying about passing Kobe, what does Kobe do better than Brian?
He's just a killer, man. That's the thing. Brian don't have that killer mentality, man. That's the.
But what does he? Because Brian averages 2 more points a game. He averages 2 more rebounds a game. He averages 3 more assists per game.
Career numbers.
Yep. Career numbers. Yeah, I'm talking about career numbers. What else you want to talk about? He has a higher shooting percentage. And guess what? If you want to say Kobe,
first of all, we know Kobe is junk. That shooting percentage don't mean nothing to me. Because Brian shooting at the rim. Brian at the rim all the time.
He shoot at the rim. Let me ask you this then: who has a higher 3-point shooting percentage?
How many did he take?
Kobe.
How many is he taking? How many is he taking? How many do they take?
They take similar amounts. They take a similar amount. I'm telling you.
For their career, they took the similar amount.
Yes.
Okay.
Listen, my thing is
the idea of Kobe, and Kobe's a great player. I'm not ripping. As a player, I think Kobe's the second greatest shooting guard to ever play, and he can be debated in the top 5.
Here's the logic. Y'all said it earlier. Kobe's the closest thing to Michael Jordan, right?
Yeah.
As far as being an imitator,
that's like being the shortest midget in a circus. I'm saying.
No, but I mean,
Jordan's the GOAT.
Yeah, but Kobe came the closest to Jordan. But my thing is, and I keep saying Jordan is the GOAT off of really what he did as regards his accolades. 6-0 in the finals is hard. It's hard to beat. It's really hard to top. But my thing with Kobe,
but even worse. But the point you missed it is if he didn't lead those 2 years, they was beating the Rockets. So we talk about 8.
No, we can't say
no.
Look, when
Ryan,
he came back, he couldn't even beat Shaq and Kobe. He couldn't beat Shaq and Penny. So
you can't listen. You can't talk about him coming back from playing baseball for a year and a half.
But he was rested.
14 games. Play 14 games in a regular season and then jump into the playoffs. They had no.
Let me ask you this.
Why he go get Rodman?
What's his body?
He didn't go get Rodman. Somebody else signed him.
Was his body rested?
Jordan ain't politic for him.
Like
trust me, they asked Mike about signing Rodman because they wasn't bringing that headache in here unless Mike co-signed on it. Then if Mike is that man and his squad was that squad, we don't need him. We gonna run it with who we got.
No, you still want the best talent.
Who
you want
turns
some
down
talent.
a Hall of Fame player?
Mike want to help.
You need help.
Who turns down a Hall of Fame player?
You need help.
You need help.
But y'all mad at Brian because Brian.
Yeah, but see, y'all. So, all right, let me ask you this, Ryan. When did you start hating? I don't remember hating, but what happened with Brian when you kind of started taking kinks out of his armor? When did you feel that?
I love LeBron. I think LeBron is probably the most dominant player when he wants to be. He's the most dominant force in the league, other than Shaq.
Okay.
In history, Brian's the most dominant player. I don't have no problems with it. I just don't think he deserves. What killed me was when he won a championship in Cleveland and said, or I don't know if y'all seen it on the shop. He said, "Oh, when I won that championship, and I was like, oh yeah, you're the greatest player." How?
You know
that would have irked me. That would hurt.
Yeah, sometimes he need to be quiet about that one. That was a little arrogant.
But this what I want y'all to understand, right?
That Jordan meme was hilarious with that too.
This is the social.
Go ahead.
When they had Jordan laughing at the computer.
Yeah, that was actually hilarious with that.
This is the social media era, though. You know what I mean? This is when you get on social media and you talk. I mean, Jordan didn't live through that social media era. You can only imagine what type of skeletons or what type of stuff Jordan would have said if this was the media, the overhyped media-driven era.
I will say this: you right to a degree, but Jordan always had a camera in his face. So if Jordan ever said something like that, it would have came back. Mike had a consistent.
Jordan didn't always have a camera in his face.
Mike, he did. Mike had a camera in his face.
Jordan was in there eating pizza, and he supposedly lied about the flu game. He ain't had no camera in his face.
I'm talking about.
When Jordan took Barkley out there drinking and eating when they was on the finals, he didn't have a camera.
No, I'm talking. No, see, but LeBron put the own camera in his face on his shot. This is what I'm saying. We're not seeing behind the scenes footage of LeBron talking with his homies. That was LeBron's show. He put the camera in his face. So he had the camera in his face just as much as Jordan. We're not talking about some secret conversation he was having with Kyrie and he said, "Yo, man, I think I'm the best player in the world after that one." Nah, that was an outright media thing. So my thing is Jordan had the camera in his face just as much. If he wanted to be that arrogant and say, "I'm the best player in the world," he would have said it. So I'm not giving Brian no pass on that.
Ryan,
that was
top
remember.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna say this real quick. Remember, they said when they asked Jordan, "Well, who you think you're the GOAT or the greatest of all time?" This and that. He had his shot to say yeah, and nobody would have really questioned it.
He don't have to say yeah.
I don't really do that because
he don't have to say it.
Brian ain't have to say it neither. But Brian got to say it for.
Say it though. He didn't.
He probably didn't. He didn't. But they've been saying it for Jordan since a long time. So he really don't. He don't have to. He'll let everybody else say it.
Like
top 3 all time. It's mostly wings. I respect big men, but it's hard to really judge who would be more dominant in the era. So I'll go by wings. MJ, Kobe, Bron. Top 3.
I respect it.
All right, I respect. I still.
Hey Ryan, real quick. Well, you going? But 3 points per game. LeBron averages 4.3 and Kobe averages 4.1. So they average about the same amount of 3-pointers. And Brian has a better percentage.
And I want to talk about that too. With Bull saying that to me that killer instinct thing gets a little overblown because it's one thing to say he's better because he got killer instinct. Like that to me don't quantify you being better. Like anybody could be like, "I'll take the last shot. I don't care. I'm that bull." But if you ain't no good at it, and not saying that was Kobe, but if you ain't that good at it, then what does that even mean? When it comes to basketball playing and the game, LeBron is a better basketball player than Kobe. I don't care how much killer instinct you say and all that. To me, Bron got the clutch shots. He was willing to take the clutch shots. He did it. He was willing to make the smart pass when necessary. He did that too. So you can't. If Bron never took no shots, if you always seen him fading away at the very end, that'd be one thing. The Bull got more career shots.
If he was James Harden, it'd be different.
Yeah, like I mean, but even Harden, to me, so Harden shoot the ball. He just come up empty in a lot of situations. So I can't even knock Harden like on that tip. But my thing is, people act like Bron passed every clutch shot he ever had, every moment he gave him up. Bron took a lot of them and made a lot of them. So that to me don't fly with that whole killer instinct thing. That's just how you feel about the player and the imagery he tried to put out about himself.
Here's what I will say. I don't really think Kobe's in the conversation as far as the GOAT, to be honest with y'all. I think he's a tier below Michael and LeBron. Because the first 3 championships, Kobe, he was just like he was just there for the ride. That was really Shaq.
No, I'm not going to do that to Kobe ball.
Not the last one.
I said
this what I'm gonna say though, right?
Second two, Kobe stepped up.
Watch them get Bulls. They're gonna be mad. They be like,
we talk about GOAT sometimes. Let's not act like Kobe first couple years was a suspect. It wasn't. Mike and Bron, as soon as they stepped in the league, they were a force.
Wasn't he was behind Eddie Jones, right? Wasn't Eddie Jones there from Temple?
Yeah.
Like they still would have won with Eddie Jones. In my opinion,
I think so too. Wait a minute, and this is the other thing about LeBron.
I liked him and McKee at Temple. They was all.
Kyle said, "Kill yourself."
This my other.
Who said that? Who said that too?
This my other thing about.
Don't let Eddie hear you.
This my other thing
there you
about
go.
Bron, though, right?
He on the line.
Hold on. The thing about Bron is Mike and Kobe both had Phil Jackson, the greatest coach of all time.
Exactly.
And Kobe ain't win nothing without Phil.
That's one thing.
Kobe ain't win nothing without Phil. Bron won with 3 different coaches.
That's one thing Bron ain't never had.
No, three different coaches.
That's one thing Bron never had was an all-time great coach either. That says a lot about his accomplishment.
Yo, y'all can hear me?
Yeah. Yep. Go ahead.
Tim, first off, kill yourself. Kill yourself right now. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with y'all? Are y'all bugging?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Speak your piece.
About the Kobe joint. Like, y'all really think Kobe is not in the same mention with these dudes?
No.
I'm not always agreeing with that.
You know what? I'm not gonna say it all like that. Kobe is right.
He's in the car. He's just not in the front.
He's like right. He's like in the 1A level. They're like ones. He's like 1A. Like when I'm talking about like greats.
He like in the 3rd row of a SUV.
He like Magic Johnson.
Yeah. I put Kobe in like the Magic category.
Is that bad?
I mean, no, it's not. It's not horrible, but the way y'all making it sound like he's not nowhere near these levels.
No, we just saying because if we're talking about greatest of all times, I don't think it's debatable. I don't think Kobe's better than Mike or Jordan, Mike or Bron. But I do think that that Kobe is better. If Mike never played, Kobe would have been the greatest 2 guard to ever play. And
everything from.
No, he wouldn't because he wouldn't know who to imitate.
I mean, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. That's why they say
you'd be a
But that's my thing though. If you
imitate Mitch Richmond.
If you don't fight somebody else's style and you can't even do it better than them, how can you be the GOAT?
I mean, everybody bites somebody's style to the degree. I mean, Jordan bit Doc style, like a little bit.
But everybody had something different. Kobe took the same shots on a court. Everything he did was an imitation. He was like a tether. Like he's like a foreign-born black person.
So I want to hear your Kobe argument.
Yeah. Go ahead. What's your argument?
My Kobe. Here's the thing: with what Bron has done, every single team he's been on, every 2 years you on that team, you give them a championship, regardless of who's around him. He gets the right team around him. He wins a chip. You can't just do that. You can't just do that with any player. You can't just plug any player in and win a championship. He does it every time. So after last night, after watching that, he moved past Kobe.
I respect because and now
let me ask you this
Lakers and Kobe fans.
Let me ask you this too, Dude. I got a question. From this, we had an argument about this. From top to bottom, right? The Heat and the Lakers teams. Who had the better team? Let's take Let's take LeBron off the team, top to bottom. Who had the better team?
Wait, what?
The Heat did.
Oh, you talking about in this final?
What you talking about? What are you talking about? LeBron teams, or are you talking about the two?
No, I'm
teams
talking about the team there. I said if you take LeBron off that team, I think Heat had a better team. From
He thought the two teams that just played in the finals, Miami and LA. Which one you think was
the
better?
Heat did. The Heat all the way did.
WAP just hurt the heart of all these Kobe fans. They like, no,
I'm a realist. I'm a realist. I'm not gonna let my feelings get in the way, Jamai, of what really the stats are. I'm gonna say what it is on paper. You know how much I love Kobe.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna sit here and witness greatness and say, nah, he's still better than him because that's how I feel.
That's good. At least you're a rational person.
I respect that.
I respect that.
Because I ain't give Mike his props till he retired.
Exactly. You're not gonna give nobody really their real credit until they gone, and then nobody's doing it.
Yeah.
So who's your GOAT?
My GOAT? Shaq.
Yeah.
mad at that. Shaq,
I ain't mad at the
Shaq is actually one of my favorite players, but most dominant player in the league. He changed the game. Like you had to change how you had to play the game because of him. I mean,
listen, if only he could shoot foul shot. Oh, he could have shot foul shots.
Or got us up in shape.
Yeah.
I mean that too. If he would have took the game seriously instead of just letting him think, oh, I'm gonna just show up and we gonna win, he would have been greater than everybody y'all talking about. But he didn't.
Hey, Duop, you're a Lakers fan, right? Let me ask you this:
What's that?
With the landscape of the league next year, are Lakers gonna run it back?
It all depends on if Antetokounmpo pulls a KD.
That's true. That's gonna be tough. If you go to Golden State, that's gonna be tough.
But
what if you go to the Heat?
Yeah, that's my thing. Miami, doing what they did against the Lakers, they now open the door for great players to now go to them and be like, "Yo, we just going to join with them. They already got a great team. I'm the player that's going to take them over the top."
But you think? Do you think he'd be scared if he go to Golden State or go to Miami?
Here's the thing: Golden State actually don't need nothing but the draft picks they about to get, and they back in the hunt.
I agree.
I don't
like people not understanding that team is still that team. They just gotta add these young bulls.
I agree.
Right back to maybe doing the 2 or 3 peat.
I agree. Chef Curry.
Don't shake your head, Wayne. Is only pieces away. Still got all the.
Kyle, he is Steph Curry hater. Don't worry about him. He can't.
I'm not a Steph hater. I think he's the greatest shooter of all times. But Bulls crack me up. Like I told y'all before this season, when Steph Curry was going to be dependent on the carry the weight, he wasn't going to last the whole season.
No, see, you would thought he was going.
As soon as he saw they was getting waxed, he was like,
yeah.
Yo, I want to ask him about little brother. Y'all think the Clippers going to be back next year?
Oh, nah. The Clippers about to blow that team. They about to blow that team up.
You think so?
I think
they don't even got a coach right now.
I think they just needed another year together. I mean, 1 year, then the team was split. The season was.
I'm glad they did because we got Doc.
I'm glad about that too.
I'm glad we got Doc too. But if Antetokounmpo, if he go to Golden State, it's a wrap.
Listen, I'm gonna tell y'all this.
Golden State ain't going no better than the 4 seed.
I'm gonna tell y'all this about Antetokounmpo. He out of everybody, he owes Milwaukee to run it back. Y'all can say about him jumping shit because of this and that. This dude, the way he played in the playoffs and the way he got hurt and didn't play, he owed Milwaukee, the team and the fans, he owed to run that back.
He don't owe them nothing because they ain't had his back the last
couple
of years.
Hold on.
Prentice said how long we doing this show. We got him fired up over here. He about to snap. Let Prentice call back. He got something else to say before we get off.
We're about to wrap it up.
Let Prentice call back one more time.
Listen, I'm here.
Yo, we know you.
Antetokounmpo, listen, the other dudes don't like the Kevin Durant's and that they went deep in the playoffs, man, before they jumped ship and act like they needed more help.
I agree with that.
The Tupo, he got it. Man, listen.
He didn't get to the Eastern Conference Finals?
No.
Last year
did he against Toronto? Did he lose to Toronto the year with the Sixers?
Yeah, that's just
No, you sure? Hold on. Who did Toronto play? Did they play him or Boston?
They played us. And then they played them.
They played Milwaukee?
Yeah, Milwaukee. Milwaukee beat Boston. Because everybody was hyping Al Horford going against
Somebody boot. He said he got booted. You got to let him back in or something like that. I said I'm booted. Let me in the joint. Once you get booted, I don't know if you can get back in again. He might have to log in another device. I don't know.
Well, listen, we'll be back here live after the Eagles game on Sunday.
No, we go
against Baltimore. But yeah, thanks
subscribe to that YouTube page, y'all. Uncensored Philly Sports.
Listen, if y'all like this content, this what y'all get. This what y'all
Uncensored Philly
get.
Sports.
Football, basketball.
Like, comment, and subscribe, and just find us with all our videos on YouTube. The Uncensored Philly Sports. Yep.
The debate is over now.
Well, the debate, according to the records,
it's still Mike for now.
Mike still Mike. So LeBron got to win about another. If LeBron wins next year, though, it may, in my opinion.
If he win next year, I ain't gonna hold you. For me,
that might be it. 5 championships, 11 finals appearances. I think that may solidify it.
Why does LeBron get no credit for making it to the chip, though? It's like,
it's not about not getting no credit, but when you lose as many as he did,
but that's my thing, though. See, this is where I interject.
What happened to losing the first round?
Can I finish?
No.
When this is my point. See, he almost made me lose my train of thought. When Bull said earlier, somebody said earlier, it was Dua. No, I can't. No, it might have been Jordan. It was somebody. They said when Jordan, if he would have played them 2 years, he would have won the 2 championships. That cracks me up because nobody knows that, right? But nobody never talks about, if Kyrie and them ain't get hurt, Kevin Love and them, would he have won that championship? If this would have happened, if J.R. Smith or the Bull would have hit the free throw line against Golden State, would it change the tide of that whole series? Like, people don't give LeBron that grace. But as soon as they talk about Jordan,
when we give out the website and everything and the YouTube channel, that means that we're pretty much ending the.
No, hold on, real quick though, Ephraim. This my only the only thing I agree with you with that about Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Only reason why I can't, the only reason I can't put LeBron at GOAT right now is the Miami Dallas series.
I agree with that.
That series right there gave everybody it gave them because if people that talk about Brown ain't beat no good teams, OKC was the favorite. Everybody want to forget about that he beat OKC with Kevin Durant, Harden, and Westbrook. They won more games than Miami that year. They had home court advantage, and they played from the West. So, but that Dallas series is a hurt piece.
We out.
No, I agree. Hold up, don't click it off. You calm down. You're a little too fast. We're about to get off. We're about to get off. We're about to get off.
Listen. Your wife ain't going nowhere, bro.